Okay, so here it is. We're going to do our world's greatest track cleaning car again. And here was our Mark 1. Now the Mark 1 picks up power from a wheel on each truck. So it picks up on each end. Okay, it's great. If it goes around and the light goes out, you know, that's where you got to put some elbow grease. Because elbow grease is the greatest track cleaner of all time. Nothing will beat elbow grease. The trick is to figure out where you need to use that elbow grease. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to make one for the big Suline layout. And this is it. I'm going to hand letter this in a little while. I'm going to detail them up a little bit. He's going to be good to go. So this one only picks up from one side on each end. That means if I put them on the track, right now the track is live in DCC, using that bridge rectifier, we can do DCC. And those green lights are really bright, which the camera doesn't even show. But if it goes to a spot and the lights go out, you know it's from one side or the other. So it's at one end or the other. When it goes over an unpowered frog, the lights are supposed to go out. And that's basically what it is. Oh yeah, there. So we still got a wheel there that we might have to change. And we'll leave them sit for a while and see if that thing's either going to melt down, and then I'm going to swap it for a different wheel set, or if it's going to work. It's important to have him weighted. So he's weighted on the inside, he's weighted on the outside, so he's really heavy. You want him to make really good contact with the track. And now this can become part of the maintenance weight train. And as it goes around, someone whose job is to run the maintenance away train will know where to, like, let's just say you need to use a bright boy or a piece of sandpaper. This car is going to tell you where that spot is where there's no power. And that's it. That's going to be our greatest track cleaner. The wiring is really simple. As you can see here, it looks like a spaghetti bowl mess, but basically it's one bridge rectifier, one little PC board. You don't need two lights. I put two lights on here just because I can. One LED, one resistor. You'd have yourself a lighted flat car. And that will save you so much time and trouble cleaning your track. It's amazing. All right, so now we'll go into the construction of it. And that'll be that. This was a good build. I'm going to just take some special paint markers and I'm going to write on here. This is going to be a Suline. It's going to be an X for maintenance away, and I think it's going to be numbered in the 1600s, something like that. But there it is. Let's take a look at the power pickup scheme for this. Okay, so I've got one of them on here. What I've done is I've made this, just a little piece of scrap copper and a little phosphor bronze wire, and that's the wire that comes in these tubes from Taichi. Okay, so then I got metal wheel sits on here which happen to be insulated on one side, and that means the axle is live. So if I got them oriented the right way, both axles are the same rail. Basically, it goes on here like this, except I'm going to put these are going to go underneath like that. Then they'll have a nice spring effect to them, and they'll pick up power nicely. Okay, so then I solder on one wire. Each one's got one wire. Those wires are going to meet at a little. We'll put a PCB right here. We'll take a little two-banger guy like this and put him there. We'll get our wires on, and then we'll bring them up to the top and wire in our LEDs for the top. But that's really all there is to it. And I didn't really buy these. It's some scavenged side frames, and then I had various metal wheel sets, and that's all it took to make this. And this is just scrap everything except for this wire, which I got out of the tube. Now, if this wire is too thick, I got a smaller size. I can make it smaller. That way it'll have more spring to it. That wire might be a little bit thick because it does seem to hold the shape, but we'll see. Okay, here we got the trucks on. Wires in. So, whoops, let's turn around, let's look at this. Okay, so red is right, black is left, red rail, black rail, and there it is. Trucks can move freely. I was going to put a PC board under here, but you know, it's going to be way easy to do it right here in the middle. And then we're going to, since we've got so much room inside this top, we're going to have a bunch of lead in here. So the idea is, you know, we want a lot of weight on this, but we only want to pick up power from one side on each truck, not both sides. That's the weakness of our other Spotlight car. That picks up power from both sides on both trucks. So it is not as sensitive to detecting. What is really good at is detecting shorts. But this thing here is going to be mainly for detecting track that needs to be cleaned. And this is going to be really good because if there's a spot on either rail, we're going to know. And I think we could possibly even, we got to think about this. Maybe we'll put some diodes on here and it'll tell us which rail is the one that's out. Think about that. But there it is. That's about as easy as it gets to get to this point. Now we'll start, we'll get our PC board in there and we'll think about this diode thing. So here we have it now. I put a little bit of lead weight on here, which is going to fit under this cover that I've kind of tried to make look like a wood deck. Unfortunately, I've taken a lot of pictures of the tops of Sioux Line flat cars, and they're always really gray, but we got to give this a little bit of better wood character. So that ain't too bad. Now, what we got is we did our wipers on the bottom, just like that, both sides. So we got red and black wires coming up to our little PC board, and now I've got two wires coming out. They're going to go up through two holes into the top. And then here's our fixture. Here's our guy that we're going to do. Let's take a look at him real close. There's our bridge rectifier. All right. So we're going to bring power in to the outside two. The inside two are going to give us, this is the black wire, that's the red wire. And then we need to put more weights on this deck. So I'm going to make them look kind of like a steel load. They're going to be kind of like those. Use some flat panels. And I'll make them look sort of like the flat car's carrying something. But this has got to be right in the middle. And then we get power there. Then we're going to add a couple of LEDs. So I'm going to test a bunch of LEDs to see what I can find that's the brightest. I'd rather use LEDs. I'd rather use this type, so I can stand them up straight. But if that's not bright enough, we can always do these guys, and we know these guys are plenty bright. However, you'd have to be, it won't be so visible from the side. But so far, so good. So now, that's just getting set up, and I'm going to go ahead and install the top. Okay, let's take a look. Here's our first guy, our Mark I version of the world's greatest track cleaner. And using the bridge rectifier, we got that spotlight to light in DC or DCC. Right now I got it turned on DC at max volts. So I'd say 14 volts. Okay, that was good. Now, here's our new guy. And I've got his deck attached. And there's some weight under there. This is bridge rectifier. And we've got these two leads here where we're going to put stuff on. So let's check and see what should we put on here. Also, I got that pile of lead weight. And we're gonna weight this guy down pretty good. Let's see if you can see that. Okay, we're gonna take these guys and we're gonna weight them down pretty good. We're gonna put on, I think we should put on 2 LEDs. So let's take our breadboard right here, which is hooked up to 6 volts right now. Okay, what should we put on for LEDs? Well, I had in mind something green. So I went to my parts bin and I found some green ones. Okay, so here's a green one right here. Let's put it in the breadboard and see how it looks. Okay, that is nice and bright. I like it. And how bright does he get? Well, there's 18 volts. He's pretty bright. Now it's hard in the camera. The camera doesn't show as bright as it is, but he's pretty bright. He's bright way down to the bottom. Let's bring him back up. Okay, he's pretty bright. So I think we're going to go with this green. Now I've got a blue one, but the blue one's not as bright. It's good, but it's not even close to being as bright. And I think we need to go with green, but we're going to test one more. We've got, I think we got a red. We can have more than one color if we want. There's a red, and that is not really all that bright. And from the side, it is not really very bright. So let's not do the red. Let's go with 2 greens. All right, so if the greens go out, that means you gotta use some elbow grease on the track. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna wire up a green on each end. We're gonna put some weights on here, and we gotta put a resistor on each one of them. Bring it back to the rectifier, put some weights on, and then we're gonna letter it. It's gonna be awesome. Okay, so here is basically what we got. Right now I'm testing to find out the wheels do a little smoking. And we want to find out if they're going to melt down or whatnot. So I got it on here for a little while. This is in DCC. This is 18 volts. And the camera does not show how bright these guys are. They are really, really bright. And so it works pretty good. And what it does is it goes down the track. And if the light goes out, then that means that's where you clean. That's where you do your elbow grease. But when we get to a switch over here that we're going to go to, when we get to right there, the light should go out because that is an unpowered frog. And you come back on. You run this around the track and the light should stay on all the time. Now I've already tested on the other track, and you know we've got our track coated. So it works really good. I haven't found any spots where I got dirty track that needs to be cleaned, but here we go. That's pretty nice, pretty simple. Let's check the wheels here. Nice and cool. This one's a little warm. I don't know. I got extra wheels to find out. But okay, so now let's go over what we did. So here's what we did. We brought them 2 wires up from the bottom. Here's the red. Actually, we can turn around so the bottom on the right side. Okay, so the red is now towards me. Here's the red. Comes up to my little PC board that I made. Goes into the bridge rectifier. Here's the black wire. Comes up, goes into the bridge rectifier. Here's the black wire out. It's got a little piece of heat shrink there so I know which is which. And here's the red wire out. So then I've got 2 lights independent. Okay, so we've got a 1K resistor that goes from the, once the bridge rectifier gets the signal in, it turns it into straight DC, and up we go from the red up to the pad, cross down to the resistor, and back in here. Same thing on this side. I got a piece of jewelry wire. Goes around up to the pad to the LED, out the LED, down to the resistor, and back to the black wire pad. And there it is. That's how easy that is. So we're looking pretty good. I have to say that's pretty good. Now, if these wheels keep getting hot, I've got extra wheels. I'm trying to avoid using my passenger car wheels because I don't have that many, but if I have to do that, then I'll just do that. I've noticed that one of these wheels down here has gotten hot and has let out some smoke, but I think it'll stabilize. And this thing is not super free rolling, but really that's all there is to it. This thing is super easy to make, and it will save you so much time and trouble. That is definitely our world's greatest track meeting car. Now I was thinking about the diode problem. It won't work. It won't work with this. But if we use diodes over here and put 2 lights on, I think we could detect which truck is not getting power. We can put 2 lights on, and they could have diodes. If the power goes out on a truck, the light will go out. That'll be our Mark III project. But otherwise, I think we're going to call it. This is a wrap. This is a really good one. And our job is done. I'm calling it. this was a good build, a very simple car that you can make out of any scrap flat car. This wiring is not difficult. You don't need 2 lights. If you don't want to have 2 lights, you can have just 1. And this car is going to detect where to use your elbow grease to clean track. And that's the best track cleaner of all.